Well, for this tour, we actually, I think it was my idea to play nothing but Ten Commandments and Retribution songs. So me and Brett actually talked about a list, and I gave it to Phil. Phil initially looked at it and went, "You're crazy. You know, these are songs that Phil hasn't played in 20 years." You know, that's what I would do. I don't know how familiar you are, but like we're doing No Flesh Up and Spare. That song, the band hasn't played it since 1992. Tensions Within, Remnants of Decay. It's just all these. I figured it'd be cool, you know, because I was a fan of the band before I joined, so I was always like, man, it'd be cool even just to hear these songs. So to play them, it's pretty cool for me. And I think every night the fans have been really excited to hear some classic Florida death metal, you know. I mean, it's been like, how do I describe it? It's been kind of like just summer camp, but in the winter. I mean, we've all known each other for years and years and years. It's just old friends touring together. I mean, there's been zero problems. You know, it's interesting. You know, we come from a world where, you know, these guys all started death metal. You know what I mean? Like they've been doing it since. I mean, we all grew up listening to thrash, and then we turned thrash into death metal. You know what I mean? So it's, you know, we all listen to the same band. We all grew up at this kind of the same time. And it's really cool. I mean, it's three classic death metal bands. You know what I mean? Truth of the matter is, you know, tours like this aren't going to happen in 10 more years. You know what I mean? So it's, you know.
Okay, why not?
Who's going to be playing that shit when they're 50 and 60 years old? You know, it's tough. I mean, you can play, Saxon can keep playing when they're 50 and 60 because it's but I mean, you know,
yeah, that is a sport. This
might be a little tough to do when you're, you know, 50-something years old. I mean, even except for Dave Lombardo, that guy still kicks ass. So I'm hoping Dave Lombardo's my inspiration. So we'll see. But
keep yourself up.
you know, you just never know. I mean, you know, all the bands that started, they're all, you know, everybody's getting older now. So it's, you know, it's just cool to put a package together like this and tour with sort of your own kind, if you know what I mean. Like, it's always weird for us to tour with like a deathcore band, one of those kind of cool bands. The fans just haven't really, like, deathcore people don't listen to death metal. I don't understand it, but
yeah. So on this tour, you should probably get this crowd.
Oh, you know, that's the thing. Is like every night it's, you know, Vital goes on first, and everybody knows every song. We go on, everybody knows every song. Christian goes on, everybody knows every song. Like, it's a really good package for, you know, a real death metal fan. You know what I mean? It's a good show.
You guys melt together.
Everything works. You know what I mean? So it's cool, man. It's been a great tour. We have officially stopped touring the U.S. We hate it. We will only tour Europe, South America, basically anywhere but the U.S. The U.S. sucks. Not the country, but the conditions of touring the U.S. are nowhere near as good as the conditions in Europe.
Meaning,
just less fans, less support. Clubs are not great. You know, I imagine Slayer tours America, and it's great because they're playing big places and they stay in nice hotels, etc. But, you know, death metal in the United States is much less popular than it is in Europe. So it's, you know, it's tough to come to Europe and get treated like an artist and be respected, and then you go back to your own country and you get kind of treated like shit. You know, it sucks. So we actually talked today about potentially doing this package in the United States, maybe next year. We'll see. I already wrote 2 songs. Phil has got a bunch of ideas. I think as soon as we were going to write before this tour, but then we had to relearn and rehearse a bunch of the older songs, so writing got pushed back to rehearsal. As soon as we get home, we're going to write a new record. Me and Phil can write an album in 4 weeks.
Yeah, I read the interview. You said that left out the news.
You know, I think we work better. If we have a lot of time, we can be lazy, but if we say, hey, 4 weeks, I mean, we just do it. I've been writing with Phil since 1997, so with me and him, it's just really easy. We just go to my studio, and he plays guitar, I play drums, I record it on my laptop, and then we make songs. It's really easy. I think we've talked about ideas for the next record. I think the next record's, we don't want to repeat ourselves. I think Invidious Dominion was very fast and very thrash metal type record. I think this next record is probably going to be maybe a little groovier, a little heavier, more depth, just to do something different. You know, the piracy thing, man, is I think a few years ago I used to be really angry about it, but now I think I'm just getting used to it. Like, I know that when we release a record, people are just going to steal it. When we release a DVD, people are just going to steal it. I just think it's, I mean, do I think it sucks? Of course it sucks. And the problem is it's creating a long-term problem in the sense that every band has to tour non-stop to make a living because nobody gets money from record sales anymore. So it's sort of creating a saturation of the live market. And in the summertime, for instance, there's 20 shows a week. So the consumer is now getting his music for free, but now he's having to pay a bunch of money to go see them live because there's so many bands coming through. You know what I mean? So it's the same thing with like Madonna. If you want to go see Madonna live, it costs $200 US for the horrible seat way up there. Because Madonna is used to having this luxurious lifestyle because she used to get millions every month from record sales, which she probably only gets, I don't even know. I mean, I know their record sales, like Metallica 10 years ago, first week sales were like 1.5 million. Now it's like 20,000. Yeah. So, it changed everything, man. So I don't really. It's great for new bands because they can get their music out easy. But for established bands, it's tough, man. I'm just now used to it. You know what I mean? We have to make records on a smaller budget because record companies are just losing money. So you used to be able to do an album for $25,000, now you're getting 10. And so the studio is losing money because they have to do the same work for less money. So it's like the problems are at many levels, but it's never going to change. You know what the biggest problem in death metal in general is? Money. Real life comes into play, and all of a sudden touring in a death metal band is more and more difficult. Jay's not touring with us because he makes a lot of money doing tattoos.
So he's not here?
He's not here today. He makes more in 3 days tattooing than he would in a whole week of tour. So it's hard, man. It's hard. And Gio didn't do this tour. We're actually we're a 4-piece tonight. What's interestingly enough sounds really good because it actually sounds really clear and tight. interestingly enough. You'll hear later, but every night it actually sounds pretty good as a 4-piece.
Yeah, I trust that you wouldn't.
No, we wouldn't do it. We wouldn't compromise the product, you know, so to speak. You know, but when we rehearsed, I mean, look at Chrissy. Chrissy's 3 guys. It sounds like a wall. So when we played, you know, the first couple of nights, I went on YouTube and I listened, and I was like, man, this actually sounds really, it sounds clear. But Gio couldn't do the tour because he couldn't get out of work. He had to continue working.
So the current lineup is good in terms of playing and atmosphere.
Oh yeah. Everybody gets along. Everybody. I mean, the real nucleus of Malevolent Creation is Brett, Phil, and myself. Me and Phil write the music, Brett writes the lyrics. As long as that is intact, Malevolent will always be Malevolent. Gio, you know, he writes some stuff and he plays killer solos. He moved to New York. Now he's actually moving back to Florida, so he'll be rejoining us. We're coming back to Europe in June. He'll be there. I think we might be coming in October with Master and Massacre, maybe. So he'll be there for that. You know, he'll play on the new record and stuff. You know, now we have John Cook on bass from England, and he's the coolest guy ever. He gets stuff done. He's just awesome. I grew up in that era, man. I got into...
How'd you get into metal?
I got into metal, probably first band was maybe Metallica. And then I remember a friend of mine at school told me, he goes, Metallica? Go get Slayer. And this was like 1987. And I went and I got Rain and Blood. And that album is literally the reason I listened to Rain and Blood.
So what got you playing drums?
Well, I actually was playing guitar at the time, and when I heard Rain and Blood and that big, I didn't even know what it was, but I went, I want to do that. So I started playing drums, basically because it didn't bother. But then, through the years later, I got into Dark Angel a lot. Me and Phil are huge Dark Angel fans. Creator, all that stuff, and then Death came out, and then, the whole death metal thing. So it's just, it's funny. People always ask me about new bands or the new this or the new that. I don't know. I don't listen to any of the new stuff. I don't Whitechapel and Shop for a Cowboy and all that stuff. I mean, I'm not saying it's bad, but I have never really listened to it, or the little bit that I've heard I didn't really like. I just like old stuff, man. Like the new Asphyx record's pretty cool. Bloodbath is like a new band, but they play old style death metal, so I like it. So basically just thrash metal and old death metal. There was actually a shirt made a few years ago. What was it? Merciless Death Metal Machine. A lot of bands, and this is coming from not me, the guy in the band, but this is just coming from somebody that's just a fan of death metal in general. Say what you want about Malevolent Creation, Phil has never given up. He's always putting out records. He's never sold out and put out like a not heavy record or chased a trend. Malevolent's always just been fucking real death metal, thrash death metal band. You know what I mean? It's always been the same formula, and you can always rely on that. A lot of bands went away and broke up for years and years and years. Phil always just kept going, man. So it's a merciless death metal machine. Oh man, thanks for the support. I mean, without the fans, we wouldn't be here. I mean, it's everything in our world is thanks to the fans, and I mean, you know, that's why we're here. You know, it's really cool to 20-some years later to still be appreciated, and you know, hopefully we'll put on a good show and everybody will be happy with it. We're playing some classic shit.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.